Are there any bill introductions? I have one, and it is 26 RS 2613, and that conforms the presidential preference primary to Super Tuesday. Any questions or objections to introduction to that bill? Seeing none, that is introduced. Any further bill introductions? Seeing none. We have a hearing this morning on Senate Bill 299. And with the bill brief, we'll ask Jason to step up to the mic and let us know what's going on. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Senate Bill 299 was introduced late last session and referred to this committee. It amends one statute, 20-123, regarding the records that are kept by the Supreme Court Nominating Commission. Just for background, the commission is a 9-member body that nominates the individuals for consideration by the governor for appointment to the Kansas Supreme Court. The bill would make most of the commission's records, including the names and cities of residents of individuals who are nominated to serve on the commission, public records. Certain information such as criminal history records checks and sensitive financial information of applicants and nominees would still be closed from public disclosure by the commission if there was a request for those records. I will just note that the legislature did pass SCR 1611 last session, and that is now a question that is going to be posed to the voters on August 4th of this year, which would change the Supreme Court process to a election model rather than a nomination and appointment model for members of the Kansas Supreme Court. And so if that passes, this statute would likely be, if not outright repealed, significantly changed in trailer legislation, just so you're aware of that. This change, however, would go into effect on July 1st of this year if the bill is enacted. And with that, I'd be happy to stand for any questions.
Thanks, Jason. Committee, any questions? Senator Blue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think you kind of already answered the question, but I'm just going to ask clarity. Is there any other purpose to this commission minus nominating?
No, the commission is created for the purpose of nominating appointees for consideration for appointment to the Kansas Supreme Court.
I figured, but I just wanted to make sure if they had any other special duties that we didn't know about. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Jason. We have one conferee today and proponent testimony, and that is Josh Nye of the KN Law Firm. And Josh, welcome to committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Josh Nye. I'm an attorney. I practice with my own law firm, KN Law Group, now previously Kriegshauser Nye, before I lost my partner to the federal side. This was a bill that came up late last session as a result of a fact pattern that you can see in the attachment to my testimony. Had to do with I personally reaching out to the clerk of the appellate court, sorry, in March of last year when you were still in session to ask who had filed for as a candidate for the chair position of the Supreme Court Nominating Commission, as well as the 4th Congressional District. And I was told that it was a result of a Supreme Court Rule 1101, neither the candidates nor the number of candidates could be released until after the filing deadline had closed. And my partner, a law partner at the time, and I kind of pushed back and said, are you sure? They did quote the Supreme Court rule, which is somewhat vague. It seems to have more to do with judicial applicants than it does to have to do with nominating commission members. These are our judge pickers, attorneys elect. 5 of the 9 members. This committee had extensive testimony regarding SCR 1611 last session, which I submitted testimony on. But I told the appellate clerk at the time, I just didn't see what the public policy basis for this particular reading of this rule would be. I don't even see what the public policy basis would be for closing records, except for maybe sensitive credit checks or criminal background checks for judicial applicants. I think picking judges is probably one of the most important things we do as a constitutional republic, because it subjects your decisions and your legislation and the decisions of the governor and me as a county attorney and everyone else, civil, criminal laws, to ultimate decisions under the rule of law and the interpretation of these judges. And so I would think that a very thorough vetting process would be preferred. That's why I've supported a reform from the nominated commission model to an election model, to make sure that transparency is of the utmost in the free exchange and market of an election, rather than behind the closed door of the commission. I continue to scratch my head as to why critics of the nominated commission model are the only ones coming to you over the years suggesting changes to make it better, to make it less secretive, to make it less undemocratic, to make it less elitist. And I put in my testimony, I serve on the 2nd Judicial District Nominating Commission. I've served as one of the elected attorney members for our last 2 judge appointments. We've selected 2 magistrate judges in the last year or 2. And so I also put in my testimony, I know that seems somewhat of a disjoiner, in the sense that I'm advocating for getting rid of nominating commissions while serving on one. And at the end of the day, I think it's important for whatever system we have while it's currently in place to be the best possible version of that system. I don't see a reason for secrecy in nominating commission proceedings. I don't see a parallel in any other public office where you can't get the name of who else has filed for the office you're considering filing or someone else is considering filing for until afterwards. That obviously affects how the election is run. If 3 of my friends put in and my adversary puts in or something like that, then that affects how the electorate goes about choosing. I might not put in if I've heard that someone that I support is putting in, et cetera. So clearly not a public policy reason, but I would just raise that issue that at the end of the day, I want our system of laws, while they're still in place, to be the best version, and this would incrementally improve the nominating commission elections by adding transparency to a secretive process. And we do have a filing deadline for the 1st Congressional District attorney member in April 1st of this year, well before SCR 1611. So the current constitutional model will continue until the voters decide on that constitutional amendment in August. With that, I'll stand for questions.
Thank you, Josh. Questions? Senator Fasquedo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So to your point of what you just stated, that you don't think that it should be, closed. So what was the reason originally, in your opinion, that it was set up the way that it is?
It's very hard not to be cynical in answering that question, to say, it sure looks like a smoke-filled room. It sure looks like they're making decisions behind closed doors and they don't like the transparency. And we've heard this from nominating commission members, that attorney members especially, I put this in my testimony last year, are the worst people to be picking these judges, because they have to appear in front of them. Their entire business model, my entire profit motive, is based on whether a judge likes me or not. At least that's the perception to the clients. Obviously, we hope that the rule of law controls, et cetera. But there's been comments both at the local level, on commissions I've served on, and at the Supreme Court level, where it's very uncomfortable to make these, to say critical things about judicial applicants, because we're going to have to appear in front of the winner. And so ultimately, I don't know the reason for secrecy. I don't see a parallel, and so that's...
So you don't think it's for safety?
Well,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I guess I would posit, what particular types of information do you not want the public to have before public officials are appointed? in helping, I guess, brainstorm this bill, carved out criminal background checks and credit checks. And as someone who's run for election, been appointed, Senate confirmed twice, I mean, it's a very thorough questionnaire that is public record of those who are serving on administrative bodies, let alone 6-year terms with retention elections for Supreme Court justices. And so I guess if there are pockets of safety that would apply to Supreme Court nominating commission members or judicial applicants that don't apply to prosecutors running for election, that don't apply for cabinet secretaries, that don't apply to other appointments in our system, I'm all ears.
In fact, that was going to be my follow-up question, you know, because when we have a nominee come before us, there's certain things we can't disclose, and I think that's in statute now. So this would be no different. You know, certain protected information would still be protected, but this would just allow for a lot more transparency.
Sure. I mean, I think as a prosecutor, I've seen you guys pass laws over the years allowing me to petition the Register of Deeds to take my home address out of real estate records. I'm sympathetic to that. I'm also sympathetic to the fact that you've got to prove that you're an elector of the county to run for certain offices, or elector of the state to run for certain offices. So at some point, public service is what it is in terms of I live here and I can prove it. And even though there's a safety implication, that's the game that we're all in.
Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you, Josh, for your complete testimony. We appreciate it very much. We have no other testimony, neutral or opponent, on this particular bill, and so we will close the hearing on Senate Bill 299. For looking ahead, we will probably do next Tuesday final action probably on this one, and or work the bill, I guess, and perhaps consider the one we had yesterday. We do have balloon amendments coming up. We're working up on that. So you might check with Jason if you have any additional thoughts on either of these bills. Wednesday next week, we are having the budget hearing for the Lottery Racing and Gaming Commission. I had Angela go ahead and send you out the budget so you could look at that prior, and any testimony on that aside from those agency folks. She's got the note on there. And then Thursday, we've added a hearing regulating the acceptance of cryptocurrency as a form of campaign contributions. And I can't remember that bill, 31719's. I can't remember. It was just assigned to us yesterday. But what's that? It does have a bill number. That's on Thursday for next week. And then, of course, no meeting Monday, no meeting next Friday. And I believe that's all we have today, committee. Thank you for your work.